Welcome to the world of science fiction story, and don't forget to like and subscribe the channel. Human gives alien girl a leg massage. You won't believe what happened next. The Galactic Nexus station hung like a polished diamond against the velvet backdrop of space, its gleaming spires and transparent domes reflecting starlight in hypnotic patterns. Through one of its docking bays, the transport shuttle Resolute glided to a perfect landing, its thrusters cooling with a soft hiss. Commander Archer Ray stepped onto the station's immaculate deck, his muscular frame barely contained by his form-fitting gray athletic outfit, a sleeveless tank that revealed well-defined arms and short training shorts that showcased powerful legs. His light brown hair fell in casual waves across his forehead, still damp from the quick shower he'd taken after the mission debriefing. 12 hours of shore leave, Commander, Captain Harrington had told him. Use it wisely. You've earned it. The Proxima Centauri peacekeeping mission had been a cluster from the start. Diplomatic tensions, covert operations, and finally, an extraction under heavy fire. But they pulled it off without casualties. Archer had personally carried an injured ambassador to safety while returning fire. Just another day at the office for an Alliance Special Operations medic. Now all he wanted was a stiff drink and some downtime before the next crisis demanded his attention. The panoramic lounge occupied the uppermost level of the station's central hub, offering breathtaking views of surrounding space. Archer found a quiet corner table and ordered a Martian whiskey. Neat. The amber liquid burned pleasantly as it went down, loosening the knots of tension in his shoulders. That's when he saw her. She sat alone at the bar, her turquoise skin luminous under the ambient lighting. Silver hair cascaded over slender shoulders, contrasting beautifully with her exotic complexion. Her black patent bodysuit resembled a swimsuit with an incredibly deep neckline that left little to the imagination. But what caught Archer's attention wasn't her striking appearance. It was the way she winced every time she shifted position, her hand occasionally reaching down to massage her calf. Years of medical training kicked in, overriding his desire for solitude. He approached casually, whiskey in hand. "Muscle strain?" he asked, nodding toward her leg. She turned, startled, revealing eyes of such intense blue they seemed to glow from within. Her pupils narrowed slightly, a non-human physiological response, as she assessed him. "What business is it of yours, human?" Her voice carried a melodic quality, despite the sharp tone. Archer shrugged. "Just an observation. I'm a field medic. That looks like a grade 2 soleus strain, judging by how you're favoring it." She regarded him with suspicion, one elegant eyebrow arched. "And I suppose you're offering to help out of the goodness of your heart." "Actually, yes," he smiled, taking the empty seat beside her. "Commander Archer Ray, Alliance Special Operations." After a moment's hesitation, she replied, "Iona," and no rank or affiliation. "Interesting. Well, Iona, I could help with that leg if you'd like. Simple massage techniques can reduce recovery time by up to 60%. She snorted delicately. "I've heard that line before. Is this how humans typically initiate mating rituals?" Archer laughed. "If it were a line, it would be a terrible one. I'm just offering professional assistance. Take it or leave it." Iona studied him for a long moment, then gestured to the empty lounge seat beside her. "Very well, Commander. Show me this miraculous human healing technique." Archer moved to the cushioned bench, creating space for her to extend her leg. When she hesitated, he added, "I've treated dozens of species. Professional courtesy only." With obvious reluctance, she pivoted and extended her leg across his lap. The smooth turquoise skin felt cool beneath his fingertips as he gently probed the muscle. "This might be uncomfortable at first," he warned, finding the tight knot of muscle tissue. His thumbs pressed in with practiced precision, applying firm pressure to the exact trigger point. Iona inhaled sharply, her back stiffening. Then, as he continued working the muscle with methodical pressure, her eyes widened in surprise. You're doing something incredible." she exclaimed, the pain visibly dissipating from her expression. How are you targeting the fascial adhesions so precisely? While stimulating blood flow to the damaged tissue, he explained, his hands moving with practiced efficiency. Human massage techniques developed over thousands of years. We might be newcomers to galactic society, but we've had plenty of time to figure out how to fix our own bodies. As he worked, he noticed the subtle changes in her posture, the relaxation of her shoulders, the softening of her expression. The initial suspicion in her eyes gave way to something else entirely. So what happened? He asked, focusing on a particularly tight knot. This kind of strain doesn't happen from casual walking. Iona hesitated before answering. Training accident. I was practicing some defensive maneuvers. Archer nodded, not pressing further despite recognizing the evasion. The muscle damage pattern suggested something more intense than simple defense training. Almost done, he said, applying final pressure to release the remaining tension. How does it feel now? Iona flexed her foot experimentally, eyes widening in surprise. The pain is gone. She stood, testing her weight on the leg, then executed a perfect pivot that would have been impossible minutes earlier. Completely gone. Good as new, Archer confirmed, finishing his whiskey. Just try to avoid whatever defensive maneuvers caused it for at least 48 hours. He expected her to leave immediately. Their brief interaction concluded. Instead, she slid back onto the seat beside him, signaling the bartender. 2 Centurion brandies, she ordered, then turned to Archer with a smile that transformed her already beautiful face into something breathtaking. The least I can do is buy you a proper drink, Commander. That swill you're drinking is an insult to actual whiskey. Archer raised an eyebrow. You know human spirits. I make it my business to know many things, she replied, accepting the iridescent blue drinks from the bartender. She handed one to Archer, their fingers brushing momentarily. Especially about cultures that interest me. The brandy tasted like liquid starlight, smooth, warm, with complex notes that evolved as it traveled down his throat. Archer couldn't help the appreciative sound that escaped him. Good, isn't it? Iona's smile turned playful. There are many pleasures in this galaxy that humans have yet to discover. The subtle shift in her tone wasn't lost on him, nor was the way her gaze lingered on his arms and chest. I'm always eager to learn, he replied, matching her smile with one of his own. Neither of them noticed the 3 figures watching from across the lounge, their expressions darkening as they observed the unexpected connection forming between the human and the turquoise-skinned woman. That's her, one whispered. The Invari Harris, another replied. And that's our problem, the third added, eyes narrowing. The human needs to disappear. Now. The Centurion brandy loosened Archer's tongue as the hour slipped by. The panoramic lounge gradually emptied until only a handful of patrons remained, scattered across the vast space like distant stars. So you're telling me, Iona said, leaning closer, her silver hair brushing his shoulder, that humans actually willingly jump out of perfectly functional aircraft for entertainment. Archer laughed. Skydiving is considered quite tame by adrenaline junkie standards. Some climb mountains without safety equipment or swim with predatory marine life. Fascinating. Her blue eyes sparkled with genuine interest. Your species continually surprises me. Most galactic civilizations evolved away from risk-taking behaviors once they achieved technological stability. Maybe that's why we've advanced so quickly, Archer suggested. We never stop pushing boundaries. Or perhaps it's why you're so. Her gaze traveled appreciatively over his physique. Physically impressive. Natural selection favoring the bold. The air between them seemed to electrify. Archer found himself studying the subtle patterns in her turquoise skin, how it shimmered slightly under the ambient lighting, creating an almost luminescent effect. I should thank you properly for fixing my leg, Iona said, her voice dropping to a more intimate register. In my culture, there are several traditional ways to express gratitude for healing. Before Archer could respond, a shadow fell across their table. 3 imposing figures loomed over them. 2 males and a female of a species Archer recognized as Devarian. Their gray, leathery skin and prominent facial ridges gave them a naturally menacing appearance, enhanced by the military-grade combat suits they wore. "Nary," the largest male growled. "Your father's looking for you." Iona's expression cooled instantly. "I wasn't aware my father employed Devarian mercenaries as messengers." "We're not messengers," the female Devarian said, her hand resting casually on a weapon holstered at her hip. "We're your escort." Now, Archer remained seated but shifted his weight subtly, ready to move if necessary. The tension in the air was palpable. "I'm afraid I'm occupied at present," Iona replied, her tone deceptively light. "Please inform my father I'll contact him in the morning." The lead Devarian's eyes narrowed. That wasn't a request. His gaze shifted to Archer. "This human is not authorized for contact with House Ander personnel." Archer raised an eyebrow. "I wasn't aware I needed authorization to share a drink with someone." "You don't," Iona interjected firmly. "And these individuals have no authority whatsoever." She stood gracefully. "Commander Ray is my guest this evening. If my father wishes to speak with me, he can use the proper channels." The mercenaries exchanged glances. The female's hand tightened on her weapon. "That would be unwise," Archer said quietly, his relaxed posture belying his combat readiness. "Station regulations prohibit drawing weapons in civilian areas. Carries a minimum 5-year sentence in a mining colony." The standoff stretched for several seconds before the lead Devarian stepped back. "This isn't over," he growled. "Your father won't be pleased." "He rarely is," Iona replied coolly. "Good evening, gentlemen. Lady." The mercenaries retreated, but not before casting threatening glances at Archer. When they were out of earshot, Archer turned to Iona. "House Ander, as in the Invari conglomerate that controls half the antimatter production in this sector." Iona sighed, her shoulders dropping slightly. "I was hoping to avoid that particular topic." "Yes. So you're not just any Iona, but Lady Iona Inanari, heiress to one of the largest corporate empires in the quadrant." Archer shook his head with a wry smile. "No wonder you recognize my swill for what it was." "Does it matter?" There was a hint of vulnerability in her question. Archer considered for a moment. "Only if you wanted to." Her expression softened. "I don't. Not tonight." She glanced toward the retreating mercenaries. "Though I should probably relocate. They'll report back, and more will come. I thought they had no authority." "They don't, but my father is persistent." She hesitated. "My private suite has excellent security. Would you care to continue our conversation there? I still owe you that proper thank you." The invitation hung between them, its implications clear. Archer felt a pull toward her that transcended mere physical attraction. Something in her eyes spoke of kindred spirits, of shared understanding despite their different origins. "I'd like that," he said simply. As they left the lounge, Archer noticed an urgent message notification blinking on his comm unit. Captain Harrington requesting immediate contact. He silenced it without reading further. Whatever crisis had emerged could wait a few hours. Iona's suite occupied an entire section of the station's executive level. As the security doors whispered shut behind them, she turned to face him, suddenly close enough that he could feel the coolness radiating from her skin. "You should know," she said softly, "that relations between humans and Azoans are uncommon. There are physiological differences." Archer smiled. "I'm a field medic, remember? Cinephysiology was part of my training." "Theory and practice are quite different," she replied, her fingers tracing the contour of his jaw with feather-like precision. "My people experience sensations more intensely than humans. It can be overwhelming." "I'm not easily overwhelmed," he murmured, his hand finding the small of her back, drawing her closer. Her lips, when they met his, were cool at first, then warmed rapidly. The contact sent an unexpected current through his body, like static electricity, but infinitely more pleasant. Her silver hair twined around his fingers as if alive, and the subtle patterns on her skin began to glow faintly. "That's new," he breathed when they parted. Iona's eyes had darkened to a deep cobalt. Bioluminescent response to arousal, she explained, a smile playing at her lips. One of many differences you're about to discover. As clothing was discarded and they moved toward the bedroom, neither noticed the small surveillance drone hovering outside the panoramic window, its lens focusing on their every move, transmitting directly to a secure terminal where a stern-faced Aswan male watched with growing fury. Archer awoke to the gentle hum of environmental systems and the cool sensation of Iona's skin against his. The night had been a revelation. Her bioluminescent patterns had pulsed with increasing intensity during their most intimate moments, bathing the room in ethereal blue light. The physiological differences she'd mentioned proved fascinating rather than challenging, creating a connection that transcended mere physical pleasure. She slept peacefully beside him, silver hair spread across the pillow like liquid moonlight. In repose, she looked younger, unburdened by whatever responsibilities came with being an Invari Harris. His comm unit buzzed insistently from the floor where he'd discarded it. With a sigh, Archer carefully extracted himself from Iona's embrace and retrieved the device. Captain Harrington's stern face appeared on the small screen. "Commander, acknowledge immediately." "Acknowledge, sir," Archer replied quietly, moving to the suite's adjoining room. "Your mission parameters have changed." The Proxima situation was a cover. Archer felt a chill that had nothing to do with the room's temperature. "Sir, your real assignment begins now. Invari Conglomerate is developing illegal neural weapons. We need confirmation and evidence." The captain's words hit like physical blows. Archer glanced toward the bedroom where Iona slept. "Intelligence indicates the Aswan, Iona Navari, may have access to the relevant data. Your encounter with her was unexpected, but provides an opportunity." "You want me to use her," Archer stated flatly. Harrington's expression hardened. "I want you to complete your mission, Commander. The neural tech they're developing could enslave entire populations, billions of lives against your conscience. Make the call." The transmission ended, leaving Archer staring at his reflection in the blank screen. The timing was too perfect to be coincidence. Had intelligence known Iona would be at that lounge? Had his shore leave been orchestrated from the start? "Trouble." Iona's voice came from behind him. Archer turned to find her wrapped in a shimmering robe, her expression guarded. How much had she heard? "Just my commanding officer," he replied, keeping his voice neutral. "Apparently my leave is being cut short." "I see." She moved to the suite's food synthesizer, programming it for morning beverages. "That's unfortunate timing. I received a formal summons from the family council while you were speaking with your captain." She handed him a steaming mug that smelled remarkably like coffee. "My father is displeased with my choice of company. The council demands my immediate appearance to discuss appropriate conduct befitting a Navari heir." Archer accepted the drink, his mind racing. This could be exactly the opportunity intelligence needed. Access to the inner sanctum of Invari operations. All he had to do was play along, gather information, and potentially betray the woman who'd shared her bed with him. "Sounds delightful," he said dryly, buying time to think. Iona's laugh held little humor. "It will be excruciating, which is why I'd like you to accompany me." Archer nearly choked on his coffee. "You want to bring me the cause of their displeasure, to face your family?" "Precisely." Her eyes gleamed with mischief. "Nothing irritates my father more than a direct challenge. Besides, I could use someone with combat training at my back. Family meetings can become volatile." The request created the perfect cover for his mission. Too perfect. Archer studied her face, searching for signs of manipulation or deception. Was she playing him just as he was supposed to play her? "Is that wise?" he asked carefully. "Wisdom has little to do with Invari politics." She approached him, placing a cool hand against his chest. "Last night was extraordinary. The way you touched me, the sensations you awakened. I've never experienced anything like it with my own kind." Her fingers traced patterns on his skin, mimicking the massage techniques he'd used on her leg. Your hands seem to know exactly where to apply pressure, when to be gentle, when to be firm. It's as though you can read my body's responses." Archer caught her hand, bringing it to his lips. "Human instinct," he murmured against her fingers. "We're very adaptable." "Indeed." Her eyes darkened to that deep cobalt again. "I'd very much like to continue exploring that adaptability, but first I need to secure my position with the Council. Having you there sends a message that I choose my own path." The sincerity in her voice made his chest tighten with guilt. Whatever game was being played, Iona's feelings seemed genuine, or she was an exceptional actress. His mission demanded he accept her invitation. His conscience demanded honesty. The two were incompatible. "When is this meeting?" he asked, making his decision. 2 hours. Enough time to prepare." She smiled, interpreting his question as acceptance. "I'll have appropriate attire delivered for you. In very formal councils have strict protocols." As she turned away to make arrangements, Archer's comm unit vibrated once. A text-only message from intelligence. "Proceed. Gather evidence of neural tech. Authorization for full infiltration granted." Archer deleted the message immediately, a plan forming in his mind. He would attend this council meeting, but not as the obedient intelligence operative Captain Harrington expected. He needed to know the truth about the weapons, about Iona, about his own role in what was increasingly feeling like a complex manipulation. "One question," he called to Iona. "What exactly does your family conglomerate specialize in, besides antimatter production?" She paused, her back to him. "Biotechnology, primarily. Medical applications." She turned, her expression carefully neutral. "Why do you ask?" "Professional curiosity," he replied with an easy smile that didn't reach his eyes. "After all, I am a medic." Their gazes locked in silent assessment, each searching for truth in the other's eyes, neither willing to reveal how much they knew or suspected. The game had begun. The Invari Council chamber resembled a cathedral of commerce. Soaring ceilings with holographic displays of financial markets, walls lined with rare artifacts from a dozen worlds, and at its center, a circular table of polished black stone, where 7 Azwins sat in rigid formality. Archer felt distinctly out of place despite the tailored attire Iona had provided, a fitted charcoal suit with subtle blue accents that complemented her natural coloring. The fabric moved like liquid against his skin, probably worth more than 6 months of his military salary. "Remember," Iona whispered as they approached, "show no weakness. Navari respects strength above all else." At the head of the table sat an imposing Azwan male with silver-streaked hair and piercing eyes that matched Iona's in color but lacked any warmth. Patriarch Thon Navari didn't rise as they entered, merely tracking their approach with predatory focus. "Daughter," he acknowledged coldly. "Father," Iona replied with equal frost. "I bring my personal security consultant. Recent events have made such precautions necessary." Archer maintained a professional stance, slightly behind her right shoulder, scanning each council member. Most regarded him with thinly veiled disdain, but one, a younger male with facial markings similar to Iona's, showed genuine curiosity. "Your consultant is human," observed an elderly female counselor, her tone suggesting she'd identified something unpleasant. "Their species has no standing in galactic commerce accords." "Commander Ray's species is irrelevant," Iona countered smoothly. "His qualifications are not." Theon's gaze shifted to Archer. "And what qualifications merit bringing an Alliance military officer into our private councils?" The direct acknowledgement of his military status confirmed Archer's suspicion. They'd run background checks the moment he'd been seen with Iona. Before he could respond, the chamber security system blared a piercing alarm. Holographic displays flickered, replaced by a security feed showing armed figures storming through the station's executive level. "Perimeter breach," announced an automated voice. "Hostile forces detected. Security countermeasures engaged." The younger male counselor who'd shown interest in Archer leaped to his feet. Devarian mercenary signatures. They've bypassed the primary security grid. Talon, seal the chamber, Thawne ordered sharply. Too late, Talon replied, fingers dancing across a control panel. They've already. The massive doors to the council chamber exploded inward in a shower of debris. Through the smoke strode a squad of heavily armed Devarians, the same ones who had confronted them in the lounge, now reinforced with additional troops. Archer reacted instantly, shoving Ona behind a pillar as plasma fire erupted across the chamber. He drew a concealed sidearm from his ankle holster, standard procedure for special operations, even on shore leave. Stay down, he commanded, returning fire with precise shots that dropped 2 attackers immediately. The council members scattered for cover, some drawing weapons of their own. Talon slid beside Archer, producing a sleek pistol. Not bad for a human, he remarked, picking off another mercenary. I see why my sister keeps you around. Sister. Archer glanced at him while reloading. Half-brother, Iona clarified from behind the pillar. The only family member worth acknowledging. A grenade arced toward their position. Archer lunged, catching it midair and hurling it back toward the attackers with a precision that spoke of extensive combat training. The resulting explosion cleared a temporary path. The secure lab. Talon shouted over the chaos. It has independent defenses. Archer provided covering fire as they retreated toward a concealed door at the rear of the chamber. Theon and 2 other council members had already disappeared, while the others were engaged in firefights across the room. The secure lab turned out to be an expansive research facility hidden behind the council chamber. As the heavy doors sealed behind them, Archer found himself surrounded by technology far beyond standard galactic science, neural interfaces, biological samples, and complex machinery whose purpose he couldn't immediately identify. The neural tech, he breathed, recognizing components that matched intelligence briefings. Iona moved to a central console, fingers flying across controls. Help me secure the prototype. It can't fall into mercenary hands. Why would mercenaries want neural technology? Archer asked, watching her carefully while maintaining tactical awareness of their surroundings. Talon answered while activating defense systems. Because it's not just neural tech. It's the first non-invasive consciousness transfer system. Voluntary medical miracle or forced mind control, depending on who wields it. Which is why I've been sabotaging the military applications. Iona added without looking up from her work. Father wants weapons. I want healing. The revelation hit Archer like a physical blow. Iona wasn't complicit in weapons development. She was actively working against it from within. You're the leak, he realized. Alliance intelligence has been receiving data on the program. Iona's hands stilled momentarily. Not Alliance. Independent Medical Ethics Consortium. Her eyes narrowed. How would you know about intelligence reports? Before Archer could formulate a response, the lab security monitors showed Thawne Naveri entering an emergency evacuation pod with a metallic case, clearly containing something valuable. He's taking the prototype, Talon hissed. Let him, Iona replied, surprising both men. That version has a fatal flaw in the neural mapping sequence. It will never work as a weapon. She turned to Archer, her expression a complex mixture of suspicion and hope. Now, Commander Ray, perhaps you should explain why an Alliance medic is so well informed about classified intelligence regarding our research.